Guy who's in his late 20s, early to mid 30s, still doesn't have a woman, still doesn't have children on the horizon, is a very selfish and self-indulgent human being. And he is just going to vote for socialists to take care of him from womb to tomb, rather than being a grown man who carries his own responsibilities for his family.
Sure. Okay. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. You should not have to deal with this. This type of stuff makes me just because I mean not for myself. Like I'm doing all right, but it makes me upset for the guys who are asking out girl after girl and getting rejected left, right, and center, and then they go to church and get treated like you're the problem. Now,
what's up, guys? Hope all is well and welcome back. As you already know on this channel, I've said it many times that I was a Christian. And I've also said it that I have walked away from the church. I'm not associated with any church and I'm not planning on doing it, at least where things are for now. There are many reasons why I've walked away from the church. And in this video I'm going to talk about a couple of them. More precisely, we are going to see the kind of women you are most likely to find in a church. At least 80% of women in churches fit these profile. Without further ado, let's get down to business. The first type of woman that you find in churches is the manipulative woman. They're very good at emotional abuse. They wield shame and guilt like a professional martial artist uses fighting techniques. And they are usually married. I have a video here that pretty much sums them well. Let's check it out.
My husband passed away and I started talking to a man a couple months later. Let me tell you the story. So this was an old friend that I knew since I was 15. I wanted that male attention. I missed that male attention. Yeah. So I invited him over. He came here with not a dime to his name. I'm grieving, I'm a mess, I'm drinking every day. I'm trying to numb the pain, right? Because I just lost my husband that I was with for almost 10 years. I'm paying for everything. I'm a fool, right? We're getting liquor every night. We're ordering DoorDash every night. Spending my husband's money that I got because he passed away. So I'm a widow, right? You don't fuck widows.
Oh.
That's what the Bible says.
Are you serious?
Not in those words, but you don't do that. Just wait. Please listen to this whole story. Just wait.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
So he tells me, I'm gonna get a job. I wanna help you. I wanna help the girls. I wanna be there for you because we've known each other for years. And you were there for me at my lowest. So I wanna be there for you. That's what he told me. But it wasn't like that at all. He stayed for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks I was paying for a grown man that was staying in my husband's home.
That was your choice.
Away.
That was your choice.
Sorry. It still upsets me. This was 2 years ago.
What?
But he was my friend, right? So he decides that he wants to go back to Chicago.
Oh, this is
horrific.
horrific.
I decided that's probably the best thing because I'm not right in my head right now. I'm not okay.
Right now?
I'm not ready for this. So he leaves.
You know what this is like? This is like, let's say a homeless person worked onto me on the street. You know what? Let's not even say a homeless person. Let's say it was just someone that needed money because they lost their wallet. And they say, hey, do you mind if you can give me $20 so I can get home? And I say, sure, here's my money. And then later on, I think to myself, damn, I just got taken advantage of at the bus stop. Oh, woe is me, my $20 because I made an active decision to give this person $20. You made an active decision to let a man into your house, and now you're the victim of your own decisions. What type of widow are you to grieve over your husband with deep strokes? Oh, but I was so fragile, I was grieving. No, you're a thought. Shut up. You've always been a thought. You make thought-like decisions, which in its essence, there's nothing wrong with that. We all got lives. We could choose what we want to do with our lives, but you're painting this picture as if this guy is a goddamn monster, but he's not. That's what I have a problem with. Dragging the image of men for the sake of your pathetic victimhood. Shame on you. You made the decision. You let him in. There were consequences to that. You can escape accountability in your echo chambers, but not over here.
Of course, I had to pay for him to leave because he's a broke ass motherfucker, right?
Oh.
But when he left, I felt so much better. Things were happening in my home, like my radio fell, my lights were flickering. I feel like that was a sign from my husband to get this guy out. He stole some things from my husband that I realized after he left. He stole a cologne that my husband would only wear on special occasions. The Johnny Depp cologne. I spent like $109 on it, and my husband said, I'm only going to wear this on special occasions.
I'm sorry, I have a sick sense of humor. I could just imagine that the husband is in heaven flicking the lights on and off as this poor bastard is going deep inside the woman that he thought that he loved. Flick, flick, flick. No, no, please stop stroking her. Baby, you said that you love me. It's only been 2 damn months. Now you're letting this guy just stroke you out, panicking. Jesus and God are holding him. We're sorry. We tried to tell you she was a thought the entire time, but you decided to marry her. We tried to go in your dreams and tell you and show you the way, my son, but now you must learn it in its purest form.
I'm not even going to say how much money I spent. It's ridiculous. But I told him, I said, karma will get you. Sorry, my daughter called me. But I said, karma will get you.
Karma will get you.
Because you don't mess with widows. I was at my lowest point in my life, and you stole from my dead husband.
Does he use the cologne?
So tell me why a week later he calls me. He says, I was by 63rd and Francisco in Chicago. That's my husband's neighborhood. That's where I met my husband. That's where he's from. I said, what happened? Because I wanted more information, right? He says that 8 dudes jumped him and they were beating him. He got broken ribs. He had a big ass busted lip, 2 black eyes.
You sure know how to
choose
him.
His head was swollen. I said, send me a picture. He sends me a picture of his whole body, his chest, his head. I was like, He calls me back. I said, you know what? That's your karma. I said, my husband, who is dead, did this to you because you messed with me. You came into my home and you took advantage of me and you stole from him. He goes, F you, you B, da 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 da. I said, no, fuck you. And I hung up. And I've never spoken to him since. He wrote me and said, don't worry, I'll pay all the money back that you spent on me. I'll send you back your cologne that I took from your husband. And nothing. Nothing at all. If your husband passed away, or your wife, never jump into something. Just wait. Because you're not in your right mind. And things could happen. But I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm sorry, I know my daughter was calling me throughout the video, but I got up like 3 times to see what she wanted, just to clear that up. Also, one more thing. He told me the reason why I took the cologne was because I didn't think your husband needed it anymore. That's what he told me. When I tell you that I've never hated somebody so much in my life, that I knew since I was a kid, and I trusted this person, you know? Be careful who you trust. Be careful who you know, because people are snakes, people are dogs, people will take advantage of you.
I know I was cracking a lot of jokes within this video, but this is truly sick, sad, and pathetic. And I think that every man that is watching content like this should really try to understand the mindset of women like this so you can do your best to try to avoid it. Can you ever imagine being in a relationship with a woman like this that refrains from any and all means of accountability when it comes to anything that they do within their life? See, the thing is that I do not expect women to take as much accountability as me. I just find that they're not built that way. I don't try to combat it. I just accept it. And because I accept it, I understand that as a masculine man, I need to be the leader within my relationship, to be accountable for her decisions as well. She is an emotional being. She is apt to be confused. She is apt to be controlled. She is apt to make mistakes and just not accept accountability, which she can grow from, where she can learn from. And I think a lot of women do it from a biological reasoning as well, because accepting that accountability and forcing change may actually take you up out of your femininity.
Part true, part total BS. This is why the theory of evolution is utter trash. Because people who use it always do it to find excuses, especially for women's poor behavior. There is a big difference between accountability and responsibility. Men have more responsibilities than women, which means that men are accountable for more, but it doesn't mean that men are accountable for what women are responsible for. Biblically speaking, accountability means moral responsibility. Men are morally responsible for more, but it doesn't mean that men have more moral responsibility, and that's because morality is for everyone. And everyone has the obligation to abide by the same moral values. What the theory of evolution does, especially in these contexts, it is trying to say that men should be okay with women having lapses in morality. Unfortunately, the church does that too. Taking accountability does not take away from a woman's femininity. Taking accountability means recognizing what one has done, good or bad, and then take the necessary measures to either correct or improve. Men are morally responsible to protect, provide, and lay down the law, and women are morally responsible not to be a pain in the ass. Just because I am not morally responsible for something, aka accountable, it doesn't mean that I should be immoral with that thing. At least as a Christian.
But at the end of the day, if you do not have a leader, a protector, then you are required to make fantastic decisions for yourself. And in this fantastic woman's situation, it only took a couple of months to revert back into her thought-like ways with someone that she considered a friend. And I talk to you guys all the time about allowing women to have male friends in their life, because those male friends are waiting for you to be removed out the picture, whether it be through the end of a relationship or your untimely demise. But this woman, with all of her agency but lack of accountability, allowed a man into her domicile to stroke the life up out of her. Mind you, this guy was no different than when he came into her life and was no different when he left her life. He was a goddamn Pookie and a Ray Ray before and after. But she knew that and understood it, but still allowed to get taken advantage of. But it's not taking advantage of, because again, she had just as much agency in the matter as the other person.
This woman decided to call that man herself. It's not like the man was waiting in the shadows for her husband to pass away, and then decided to pop out and try to snuggle into her panties. She called him, she brought him in, she was the one who was keeping him with her. Yes, you can say that, no, the man could have left and this and that. Again, the fact that he didn't leave and decided to mooch off of her just shows what type of woman she is. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, since this woman is quick to use the Bible in order to excuse her behavior, which she used in the wrong way, which is blasphemous. But, let's say that she uses the Bible. Why couldn't she have called one of her friends or find comfort in her church? It is in the Bible teaches that Christians should comfort the widows and help the orphan. She didn't seek comfort in the church, but instead, she decided to call that man. And I am pretty sure that she called him because even within her marriage, it will not be a stretch to say that she was still thinking of that man. She could have called anyone, not even in her church, but in her family, her friends, and it could have been understandable. She is grieving, she lost her husband, she needs company. But why seek the company from a man that you have quote-unquote lost contact for a very long time? And this is the sick part. She's saying that the Bible said that you should not sleep with widows. First of all, the Bible doesn't say that. The marriage vows say, "Till death do you part." The moment one of the spouse passes away, the other spouse is free to remarry. The problem is that this woman committed fornication. She fornicated with that man, which is a sin, by the way. And I am pretty sure that someone caught wind of that, so she decided to clear her name, use shame and play the victim, making it look like that man took advantage of her in her most vulnerable moment. Even though she opened her door to that man, entertained that man, and she let that man have access to her body. This is the kind of behaviors that are reinforced in the church. Because the church does not believe that women are promiscuous. The church believes that it is men who push women into promiscuity. The church does not believe that women use their sexuality in order to gain things. The church believes that men use money and other material possessions in order to get access to women. And last but not least, This kind of mental gymnastic and blasphemous use of the Bible is prevalent in the church in order to excuse female bad behavior. This woman knew what she did. She gave that man access to her body, and I will not surprised if she was the one who even initiated the deed. But now she's trying to make it look like she's the victim. She's not taking accountability for anything. She's blaming her emotional state, that she has lost her husband, she was in a bad place, and she is blaming the man. Because that is how these preachers consider women to be, helpless poor victims of men's depravity. These kinds of things never fly when it comes to men. Can you imagine if it was a man who had lost his wife and then a couple of weeks later he sleeps with his wife's friend or some woman who was part of his past? Do you think that excuse of, "No, I lost my wife, I was grieving, so I slept with her"? As a matter of fact, you should not be sleeping with widows. If it was a man, do you think that would pass? But since it is a woman, these kind of things are deemed okay, especially in the church. These are the women who are quick to use the famous, "a real man would," when they need something from men. These are also the same type of women who usually start rumors in the church, and they are heads of gossip groups within the church. The older they are, the nastier they are. Expert manipulators, their husbands and son are whipped, emasculated beyond repair. While the Bible say that older women should teach younger women how to virtuous, chaste, and how to love their husbands, these kind of women teach their daughters how to manipulate men. The married women in the church, be it divorced or widows, as long as they have been married once. Know what? Throw in single mothers in the mix too. They are the base of the preacher's power. If a preacher wants to be loved in the church, he has to win that group first. Just like politicians need women's vote, preachers, at least, false preachers seek for those women's approval. The lack of accountability that you see in the church is because of that group. They are the ones who approve what is acceptable or not. If a preacher dares to go against their will, they will try their best to drag him down by starting rumors. If they fail, they will leave the church and go start rumors outside. But that is rare, because most preachers are already simps, so they fit well together. Now let's go to the second type of woman that you find in the church. This one is pretty simple. The whore, or the retired whore.
You might be eager to obey the command but can't find anybody who's willing to marry you. So you have to look at yourself in the way that Paul described marriage in Ephesians 5. He basically says that a husband is like a savior to his wife. And I think the burden really lies with men to see themselves as those who rescue women from loneliness. What I would experience in our society, it's the men that have to step up. And I honestly do not know what in the world they are waiting for. I have threatened many times to line up all the single women on one side, all the single men on the other side, and assign you a wife.
And here's a secret that many guys don't know, especially in today's day and age, is that women love nice guys. We may not understand how much we love and appreciate them until we're a little older. And we've gotten that sort of asshole phase out of our systems. I'd say by our late 20s, early 30s is the point in our lives when we're just exhausted by the jerks and we have no time in our lives anymore for them.
Okay. We have no pity and no sympathy. You got to understand that. All right, like you coming back around and saying you like nice guys now after you done rode the pogo sticks of the jerks into your 20s, right? Like there's no sympathy. But yet what happens is that when you see older men dating younger women, you want to make fun of that older man, and it's a way to project the hate of what you missed out on. And that's what happens so often, is that these women will shame older men that go after younger women. For the life of me, I just can't understand this. But women, it's down to the chat. Let me know. Why would you make sure that you move in a way to get the things that you want when you are the most valuable to the things that you want it from?
So we really start looking for men who we know will be great long-term partners, aka nice guys, right? And that's you.
She belongs to the streets.
The level of disrespect is just off the charts. This is what she said. "You were not good enough for me when I was young and at my best, but now that I am used up and my beauty has faded and I can no longer attract the attention of the men I am really attracted to. Now you sucker has a chance, as long as you can take care of my every wants and be willing to lay down your life for me, even though I didn't have the same requirement for the man who took my virginity, and the men who enjoyed my body when I was younger. This demon is saying that women actually like nice guys, but strangely enough, they only come to that realization when they reach their late 20s, early 30s, which surprisingly enough, falls straight at the moment where women start to lose their beauty but most importantly their fertility start to decline. The age where they are entering in the danger pregnancy zone. That's the moment when they realize that they love nice guys. But, for the sake of argument, let's argue. Why don't women stay virgin until they reach that point? If women really love nice guys, why don't they keep themselves virgin until they meet the nice guy? They sleep around with woodlooms, and men who have no plans with them past the bedroom, they get passed around, they subject their bodies and their minds to all sorts of depravity, and the moment their fertility and their beauty is starting to decline, now all of a sudden they love nice guys. This is what the church teaches to women. It doesn't matter what you have done, you can just ask for forgiveness and everything will be just fine, you will have absolutely no problems finding a husband in the church. And that is because all the single men in churches are shamed if they don't want to marry a promiscuous woman. Guilt is used if a man doesn't want to deal with a woman who has a body count higher than that of the predator. And the most sickening way that men are shamed and guilt into marrying retired hoes is the preacher, the older women in the church, the married women, and even the married men, they always use the trope of Jesus accepted you as a sinner, and he cleansed your past, Jesus also cleansed her past, why are you using her past as a way to disqualify her? And these kinds of shaming and guilt tactics are done on men from a very young age. The church is more focused on men getting married and being responsible for a family, than on women being virtuous and actually deserving of marriage. And if you as a man dares to point that out, the tactic is always to point out at your imperfections and shame you for them. And when you bring this kind of concern to those preachers, they always say that, no, God put the man in charge, it is the man's duty to deal with that. Fair enough, which is true. The man is in charge. But the moment the man start to lay down the law, those same preacher will come again and say, no, you are not supposed to treat women like they are inferior to you. We are equal in the eyes of God, so you need to treat them like equals. But at the same time, they want to absolve women of any and all responsibility for their own action. And all of that they do it by twisting the Bible, using shame, guilt and all kind of emasculating tactics, just so that they can cover women's wickedness, even though the Bible itself, the book that is used to teach Christianity, has multiple instances pointing out to women's self-accountability, to women being responsible, to women destroying marriages, to women literally being straight up evil. But somehow they never talk about it. Yeah. It's a mess. These are the two types of women that you are more likely find in a church. Emotionally abusive manipulative women, and retired prostitutes. In most churches, men are shamed and guilt to death to make wives out of them. But it is also not all bad, most of the best people, men and women that I ever had the chance to meet, I met them in church. But even though there are still some good people in the church, personally, I'm not the kind of person who judge based on the 1%. The modern church is a feminist social club, and no man with self-respect should ever set foot in one. I am not perfect, I have my own issues. But I have decided to follow my faith on my own, and struggle in it, on my own, than be among passive-aggressive people, manipulators, emotionally abusive people, hypocrites, and cowardly weak men who can't speak the truth and are led by women. But, you know what I always say. At the end of the day, life is a choice. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Thanks for watching, peace.
The numbers of when it comes to suicides, when it comes to homelessness, when it comes to prisons, the numbers of men in these situations are astronomically higher than women. And then this same guy read a lot of the feedback from women, and it was horrible. They were celebrating the fact that men are three times more likely to commit suicide. And it's no wonder good men in this world are backing away from women and saying, look, this is not right. And when this attitude pervades, feminists cannot sit there and say we're only about equality. Let me give you a thought, ladies. I'm gonna get a lot of grief for this. And I don't care. I don't know you, and I ain't scared of you. If a man is here and you want to be equal, and the only way you can get equal is to band together and tear him down so that you can be at his level, you're not equal.